I had to close my windows. The birds were chirping too loudly. 2 minutes. Just before we get going, Andrew, do we have much money in the Heritage Village Fund there?
Like in our reserve fund?
Well, just to build something.
No, there's not a pile. There's just enough for the odd bit of maintenance
Okay.
to carry out on.
I'd like to see a sod shack built there at some point in time, because I don't think a lot of people realize what the pioneers lived in there. It'd be kind of interesting.
Down the Heritage Village is there.
Pardon me?
Heritage Village has it, Marcel.
Oh, yeah. 1 minute to go. Jeff Richards, do I do that laughing thing, put my hand out the ear and talk like the guy on the mic?
I think you should.
Yeah.
What could it hurt?
Yes. And we are live on the air.
You remember the episode of WKRP where Johnny Fever had to go live on the air after Lester, the chickens or the turkeys out of the helicopter? That's what you want to do. And we're back.
Yeah. And we are back, and we are now going live on the air for this meeting, regular meeting of Weyburn City Council, held by electronic means at 5 p.m. Monday, June 8th. Do I have a motion to allow for meeting by electronic means?
Your Worship, this is Councillor Bailey. I would move that the City Council suspend the rule of order as set out in the City of Weyburn Council Procedures Bylaw to allow the City Council and City Administration to participate in the regular council meeting this 8th day of June 2020.
Do I have a second, please?
Your Worship, it's Councillor Chessel. I'll second that.
Okay. Council, I'm going to go through the names. If you would, please say yes or no. Do you agree with it? Councillor Bailey?
Yes.
Councillor Chessel?
Yes.
Councillor Van Betju?
Yes.
Councillor Richards?
Yes.
Councillor Mickle?
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler?
Yes.
And the mayor, yes. We'll start off with a roll call. Councillor Bailey?
I'm here.
Councillor Chessel?
Yes, I'm here.
Councillor Van Betju?
Present.
Councillor Richards?
I'm here.
Councillor Mickle?
Present.
Councillor Wheeler?
Here.
Mayor Roy? Here. So noted in the minutes. Do we have the approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting and strategic planning priorities meeting held May 25th, 2020? Do I have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I'll make a motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting and the strategic planning and priorities meeting held May 25th, 2020 be approved.
This is Councillor Mickle, and I'll second that motion.
All those in favor, Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Moving forward, we have, are there any additions to the agenda from City Manager Warren?
Yes, Your Worship, we have a deletion and an addition to the agenda for tonight. Under 7 motions, 7B, which is pedestrian ramps and concrete repairs tender, we want that deleted from the agenda tonight. And in its place, we'd like to have included ice resurfacer 2021 pre-budget approval.
Your worship, this is Councillor Bailey. I'd like to make a motion that the following items be added to the agenda, and that is 7C, ice resurfacing 2021 budget pre-approval.
Your worship, it's Councillor Richards. I'll second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, then we will, those in favor, Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
yes,
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. And that will be, Mr. Warren, you wish to have that to be 7B, correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Moving forward, there are no public hearings. There is a proclamation, which I shall read, of Prairie Native Appreciation Week. Whereas Native Prairie Appreciation Week is dedicated to raising awareness and appreciation of native prairie ecosystems and their importance to Saskatchewan's provincial, environmental, and agriculture sectors. And whereas Native Prairie Appreciation Week is declared jointly by the Saskatchewan Ministries of Agriculture and Environment as the third week in June since 1999. And whereas the Saskatchewan Prairie Conservation Action Plan encourages all Saskatchewan residents to go outside and explore native prairie, whether it's right in your own backyard or a short drive to the country. Now, therefore, I, Marcel Roy, Mayor of the City of Weyburn, do hereby proclaim June 14th to the 20th, 2020 as Native Appreciation Week here in the City of Weyburn, and encourage all citizens to increase their awareness and appreciation of native prairie ecosystems. Signed, duly signed this day by Mayor Marcel Roy. Moving forward, reports of standing committees, Police Commission, Councillor Van Betju, if you would, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. A regular meeting of the Weyburn Police Commission was held in the City Council chambers at 4 p.m. Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. Minutes from the previous meeting were accepted and passed as presented. First item on the agenda was correspondence. CTSS update from the RCMP. A letter was received from the RCMP regarding the RCMP CTSS Southeast District Commander quarterly update. The letter outlined some procedures put in place as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mayor's report for April. In April 2020, in comparison to April 2020, crimes against persons increased from 6 in 2019 to 10 in 2020. Property crimes decreased from 26 in 2019 to 23 in 2020. The most significant change was in traffic violations, where in 2020 there were 11 violations, and in 2019 there were 81. This is a result of the direction given for enforcement due to COVID-19. CSO bylaw report. Chief Blunden provided a bylaw CSO report for April 2020. The chief advised the CSO has been pulled away from bylaw enforcement and will focus more on safety and education of kids, as well as giving her a social media platform. Accounts payable report was received for April 2020. Moved by Councillor Richard, second by Councillor Van Betju, that all reports be received as presented. In unfinished business, there was none. New business, Weyburn Police Service social media policy draft. Chief Blunden provided a draft copy of the proposed social media policy. Chief Blunden will add in recommended information and bring back to the next meeting. Bylaw officer appointment. Chief Blunden advised that the current bylaw officer does not have the authority to write tickets without a peace officer or a city manager signing off on it. And sometimes this can delay issues and become quite cumbersome. Therefore, in the Cities Act, section 2(1)(I) states that council or the commissioner or manager can delegate the designated officer. Therefore, if the board approves, the chief will ask the city manager to appoint the bylaw officer. Moved by Ron McCormick, seconded by Councilor Richards, that Weyburn Police Commission direct the police chief to make request to the city manager to appoint the bylaw officer under authority of section 2(1)(I) of the Cities Act as recommended by Chief Blundin. It was moved by Barclay Charlton, seconded by Don Yeaman, that the commission go into closed session. And then at 6:30, it was moved by Councilor Van Betju and Councilor Richards that we go back into open session, and meeting was adjourned.
Members of council, any questions? Hearing none, we will make, we'll have that posted and noted that it was received, and it shall be posted on our site. Moving forward, consent agenda, cash activity report for April.
Yes, your worship, this is Councilor Van Betju. I'd like to make a motion that the cash activity report for April 2020 be accepted as presented.
Your worship, this is Councilor Wheeler. I'd like to second that motion.
Discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, Councilor Bailey,
Yes.
Councilor Chessel,
Yes.
Councilor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councilor Richards,
Yes.
Councilor Mickle,
Yes.
Councilor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Passed unanimously. Moving forward, accounts payable, motions. Accounts payable, does somebody have a motion for that?
I can make that motion, your worship. This is Councilor Wheeler. I'd like to make a motion that the purchase in the amount of $1,074 or $74,103.76 from May 22nd to June 2nd, 2020 be approved.
Your worship, it's Councilor Richards. I'll second that.
Discussion? Call the question. All those in favor, Councilor Bailey,
Yes.
Councilor Chessel,
Yes.
Councilor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councilor Richards,
Yes.
Councilor Mickle,
Yes.
Councilor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Passed unanimously. Moving into 7B, ice resurfacing 2020-21. Is that right? That I didn't say that right. Ice resurfacing 2021 pre-budget approval. So with that being said, Mr. Warren.
We'll have Director of Leisure Services Crow present this, your worship.
Okay. Mr. Crow.
Good evening, your worship and council. So you'll see in front of you a report that's been put together. The Crescent Point Place Tom Zandi Sports Arena self-propelled ice resurfacer is due for replacement in 2021. As this item requires up to 300 days for delivery time, we're just requesting that a pre-budgeted approval be given to go ahead with the purchase of the new machine in 2021. So essentially we would put in the order now, and then payment for the machine is due upon delivery. So on May 5th, we put out a tender for the new machine, and it closed on May 29th at 2 p.m. local time. Through that process, we received one bid from Furmark Equipment out of Regina for a 2021 Zamboni Model 526. This comes with 2 years factory warranty or 2,000 hours. The bid price, including taxes, is $138,908.95, and they guarantee the delivery within 300 days of accepting the deal. So the replacement of the ice resurfacer unit follows a regular cycle of 7 seasons. In previous years, we would trade in the existing unit so that we could see some costs on the new unit. However, beginning 2021, we will begin cycling the unit over to WRCC for the use on the outdoor arena. So Unit 2 will be located at WRCC, and it'll also act as a backup machine in the event that we have major mechanical issues or breakdowns with Unit 1 that'll be located at Crescent Point Place. And then beginning in 2028, we'll once again begin trade-in procedures. So the machine over at WRCC would then be traded in on the new unit to be moved to CPP. So Furmark Equipment provided a very detailed quotation. They met all the specifications we were looking for in the tender package. And based off of industry research, the bid price that they provided seems to be on par with what other Zamboni suppliers would offer. So Furmark has a head office located in Regina. They provided us with the supply and service on previous Zamboni models, including the one that we have right now. And their proximity has really allowed ease of use for their annual maintenance programs. And if we do have an emergency repair, they're just down the road, so it's worked out quite nicely. They do have trained service technicians right on staff, so we know that all the repairs are meeting the factory specs. They also have a large parts depot in Regina, and if they don't have the parts, they can have them shipped in on expedited options. And that's really come in handy in the past as well when we have had breakdowns, because when we have a breakdown on a Zamboni, it causes quite a bit of issues over at the rink. So just due to the estimated delivery time, the previous experience we have with Furmark and with Zamboni, I'd recommend council move forward with providing the pre-budget approval to go ahead with the purchase of the 2021 Zamboni Model 526 from Furmark Equipment at a cost of $138,908.95 due upon delivery. This cost would be covered as planned through the 2021 fleet services budget. There was already a plan in for 2021 to have this unit replaced, just part of our regular cycle planning.
Do you have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Worship, it's Councillor Chessel. I'll move that council provide pre-approval for the purchase of an ice resurfacer for the 2021 budget, and further that the bid of Furmark Equipment Limited to provide a 2021 Zamboni Model 526 in the amount of $138,908.95 be accepted. And I also have a question after a seconder.
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu, I'll second that motion.
Very good. Questions, Mr. Chessel?
Yes, so I guess two quick questions, Andrew. First one, sponsorship. I wasn't 100% sure. Do we get sponsorship, or is that a deal that the Red Wings receive? How does the sponsorship work on that?
Yeah, no, so the Zamboni itself, we own the sponsorship rights to that machine.
Okay.
So that current agreement that we have in place on the existing machine, I think winds up in 2022. So we give whoever holds the sponsorship first right of refusal. So we'll be contacting them again here shortly to see if they want to extend their sponsorship, just to so that we can get all the deckling done ahead of time.
Okay, perfect. And then, yeah, I guess I'm sure the others will ask is, you know, obviously there's only one company submitted a tender. You know, I guess we do have to trust that is the fair market value, but is there anyone else possibly in the province that we've dealt with in the past, or is this generally who we've always gone to and they've been good regardless?
There's a very limited number of Zamboni suppliers across the province, across Canada. So what we did is we actually contacted all the regional dealers directly with our specs, and that included Zamboni dealers and other model companies as well, and Zamboni was the only one that felt they could meet the specifications that we were looking for, and they were the only ones that put in a bid.
Okay, thank you.
Your worship, I could, just a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
Thanks, your worship. It's Councillor Richards. Andrew, 300 days is a terrific lead time. If it shows up in 100 days, you're in a position to accept delivery?
Yeah, so what we'll do when we turn around, if you guys do grant us approval, is that'll be part of our stipulation on the purchase that they cannot deliver any earlier than 2021, just so that it doesn't affect our budget cycle, so we're prepared that way.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor? Councillor Bailey?
Yes.
Councillor Chessel?
Yes.
Councillor Van Betju?
Yes.
Councillor Richards?
Yes.
Councillor Mickle?
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler?
Yes.
Mayor Roy? Yes. Passed unanimously. Very good. We have an introduction now of bylaw 2020-3418, the automated vote tabulating equipment. Jeanette Richter, can you please explain this to us?
Thanks, Your Worship. As you'll remember, at the May 25th council meeting, council approved the recommendations I put forward regarding the 2020 municipal election and school board elections that will happen on November 9th. Included in my recommendations was the use of automated vote tabulating equipment. This equipment should be, sorry, I'll just wait for that to stop. This equipment should increase the speed of results substantially and probably will reduce the results time period from a couple of hours to well under an hour to get results the evening of the election, barring any glitches such as a power outage or something silly like that. The Local Government Election Act has provisions for the use of automated vote tabulating equipment, and one requirement is council must pass a bylaw for the use of the equipment. The bylaw must include the form of ballot and procedures for voting and counting votes. Therefore, I have drafted a bylaw for council to review tonight and would ask that if council is in favor, would provide all three readings for the automated vote tabulating equipment bylaw at this meeting.
Thanks a lot for that information, Jeanette. This is Councillor Mickle. I'm prepared to make a motion that bylaw 2020-3418 to allow for the use of automated vote tabulating equipment in future local government elections be read the first time.
Councillor Van Betsch, second that motion.
Discussion?
Your worship.
Yes, go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. It's Councillor Richards. To the city clerk, thanks for your work on this. This is a big bylaw. I have a few questions about the bylaw when I read through it, and I think most of it's just clarification. I'll start with what I think I know is the answer. When a ballot is rejected or it doesn't read it properly, does someone physically check that ballot?
No, it would be just like any other election ballot on paper. When we do it on a paper and just put it in a box, it just gets dropped in there. So at the end of the night, when it's counted, it would be rejected because for whatever reason, maybe they've ticked off too many names or outside of the tally area where they should be marking their ballot. So that would be rejected, and it would be rejected. It would not be counted, just like it wouldn't be counted at the end of the night when we open the box.
Okay, thank you. Then further to that, in 8.2, from what I understand, this means is if someone marks their ballot and it's incorrect, they put down too many check marks, and it goes into the machine and it is in fact a spoiled ballot. I think what section 8.2 is saying, it doesn't notify anybody right there. It just takes that ballot with no notification.
Yes, again, that's correct, because it would be the same as paper. Obviously, we don't look at the ballots when they go in the box. However, and that vote tabulating 8.2 also applies to, as you know, we elect 6 council members. People can only vote for one or a maximum of 6. So if they only tick off 3 names, it's still going to accept it. It's not going to kick it back and say, hey, you can vote for 3 more. It will just accept whatever's on that ballot up to 6. But if there's more than 6 or a mistake where they've marked outside or it's unreadable, then it would go into a spoiled ballot tally.
But it wouldn't notify the voter right then and there.
That's correct.
Right, good, thank you. Just a couple more, I'm sorry to have so many. In 7.1, and I don't mean to go backwards through the document, but that's what I'm doing. In 7.1, first sentence, it says, there shall be at least 1, then in brackets, 2 vote tabulating units.
Yeah, you caught me. You caught my mistake. I actually corrected that today and resent out the agendas, but I'm guessing you probably looked at it earlier. That is a mistake. So
Sorry.
I'm only going to confirm that we will have 1 machine, although we will have, I plan to have 2 on election day, but just for future elections, so we don't have to amend this bylaw. If we feel that 1 is good enough and well handles the number of voters that we get here in Weyburn, then perhaps in 2024, then only 1 machine will need to be held at, or be used at the poll.
Okay. So then my final question is, and I have 11.2 written down here in my notes, but I'm not sure that that's where it comes from. But if the machine fails that night, midway through or whenever, what's the process so that folks understand what happens? What's the backup if this machine should happen to, as machines will do, decide it doesn't want to work when you need it most?
Okay, well, there's a couple of options. First of all, I do plan to have 2 machines there that night. So say one of, and operating, both of them will be running, so it'll just quicken up the process. But if something were to happen where 1 machine malfunctioned, we would have the second one. People may just have to wait longer to submit their ballots. But say the power went out and we absolutely couldn't put any in. There is a locked holding box, an alternate box that will be there, and then the ballots will go in there. Once the power comes on or the vote machine is repaired, the receiving officer will enter all the ballots in at that time. So that's why I say that the only way that we won't get quick results is if we were to have that type of a malfunction or a power outage.
Okay. Thank you very much for all that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the council?
Yeah, Councillor Bailey here. Danette, this is still subject to the school board accepting this?
Yes, I have to get a supporting motion from the 2 school boards. The only thing is, I guess the city council wanted, we could certainly put the, we would still move ahead with using the machines, and I guess we would, if they truly didn't want it to happen, then their ballots would have to go in an actual manual counting box, and we'd have to increase our number of workers and of course increase our costs. So hopefully they'll go along with it, and I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will too. My question, follow up with that is, do they support the cost of this in any way?
The schools do, yes. They pay for their costs of ballots, and they will probably, I usually just bill them a portion of the costs of materials. And in the past, they've always allowed us to use their facilities at no cost because I do so much for their elections.
Okay.
So we kind of have a balancing act on all the labor and my time. I don't charge them for because they are generous to allow us to use their facilities. And
yep.
Yeah, so it's kind of a give and take with the school boards.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions, council? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Passed unanimously. Second reading, please.
This is Councillor Mickle again. I make a motion that bylaw number 2020-3418 be read a second time.
It's Councillor Van Betju, I will second that.
You call the question. Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel, Councillor Chessel,
Yes. Sorry, the mute button.
Councillor Van Betju,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Motion to allow 3 readings at this meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Mickle again. I make a motion that bylaw number 2020-3418 be given three readings at this meeting.
Do I have a second?
Yes, Councillor Van Betcha, I will second that motion.
Call the question. Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Third and final reading, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Mickle again. I make a motion that bylaw number 2020-3418 to allow for the use of the automated vote tabulating equipment in the future of local government elections be read a third time and passed.
Councillor Van Betcha, I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? The final time? Hearing none, call the question. Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Moving to the next one, amending zone, Hunt Street. Amanda Kaufman, if you would, please.
The City of Weyburn has received a request to rezone 413 and 417 Hunt Street, legally described as lots 10 through 13 inclusive, Block 1, Plan AZ 359, from urban holding to light industrial. The zoning is required to accommodate the development of a lumber/wood yard. Current zoning of this site is urban holding, which is designed to protect land required for future development and to provide an orderly transition of agricultural land to other uses, as well as to ensure future development is compatible with other local land uses and policies. Light industrial zones are designed to provide for a wide range of industrial services requiring small sites with a small amount of outdoor storage, but excluding those uses which may be offensive by reason of noise, smell, or other forms of pollution. The Riverside Park subdivision is bounded by Highway 39 on the south, First Avenue on the north, with Souris River on the east. The neighborhood is proposed for light industrial and highway commercial land uses. As per the City of Weyburn public notice policy, and proposed zoning bylaw amendment must be publicly advertised in the local paper for 2 consecutive weeks immediately prior to council giving consideration to the proposed amendment. Public advertisement was in the local paper on May 27th and June 3rd, and was also placed on the city website for notification. Staff recommends that council give first, second, and final reading to zoning bylaw 2020-3419 to rezone 413 and 417 Hunt Street from urban holding to light industrial.
Your Worship, it's Councillor Richards. I'll make a motion that bylaw 2020-3419 to amend zoning bylaw 2003-2099 to rezone 413 and 417 Hunt Street, lots 10 through 13 inclusive, Block 1, Plan AZ 359 from urban holding to light industrial, be read a first time.
Do I have a seconder?
Your Worship, Councillor Bailey will second that.
Any discussion? Mr. Richards?
Thanks, Your Worship. Amanda, I know, I'm going to ask this. I heard you say that letters were sent out. To be clear, you received no objections from neighbors?
No, letters weren't sent out on the rezoning of this. It just had to be advertised in the local paper.
Pardon me, right? Was advertised, no feedback?
No, I did not get any feedback from anyone.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Carried unanimously.
Your Worship, it's Councillor Richards. I'll make a motion that bylaw 2020-3419 to amend zoning bylaw 2003-2099 be read a second time.
Councillor Bailey seconds that motion.
Any discussion? Call the question. Councillor Bailey, how do you vote?
Yes, yes.
Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. We have passed unanimously. Do you have a motion to allow third reading at this point in time of the meeting? Do I have a
Yes,
motion?
your worship. It's Councillor Richards. I'd make a motion that bylaw 2020-3419 to amend zoning bylaw 2003-2099 be given 3 readings at this meeting.
Councillor Bailey will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. Councillor Bailey,
Yes,
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Do we have third and final reading, please?
Yes, your worship. It's Councillor Richards. I would make a motion that bylaw 2020-3419 to amend zoning bylaw 2003-2099 to rezone 413 and 417 Hunt Street, lots 10 through 13 inclusive, Block 1, Plan AZ359, from urban holding to light industrial, be read a third time and passed.
and Councillor Bailey will second that.
No discussion? Call the question. Councillor Bailey,
Yes,
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Pass unanimously. Very good. The next item on the agenda. There's no unfinished business. And for new business, we have a discretionary use development permit, a cannabis retail outlet. Amanda, if you would, please.
The city of Weyburn has received a development permit application for a cannabis retail store, which has been proposed by Brendan Pollock of 102088238 Saskatchewan Limited for 112 Railway Avenue, legally described as Lot 3, Block 49, Plan 79R03797, which is currently an empty space. The zoning of this site is Central Business District, and therefore cannabis retail store is considered a discretionary use. The existing floor space is considered a standalone and is separated by walls and ceilings from other floor spaces within the building. It is complete with the required fire separation and required egress. The applicant proposes to do minor alterations to the floor space. There will not be any exposure of the product to minors or youth, as they will not be visible from the outside. All the inventory will be secured and only accessible by staff. SLGA has security requirements for cannabis retail stores in which the applicant must comply with. Store hours of operation shall be in compliance with provincial requirements. They cannot operate earlier than 8 a.m. nor later than 3 a.m. SLGA sets the minimum requirements for hours of operations to be at least 6 hours a day and 5 days a week with no maximum. The Central Business District Zone is designed to provide the most intensive areas for retail, service, and commercial development in the city. The site does meet all site requirements as well as setback and parking requirements for the proposed use. There are no other cannabis retail stores, elementary schools, high schools, nursery schools, or commercial daycare centers, social service homes, or halfway houses within 200-meter radius of this location. As a discretionary use, we are required to send out a neighborhood notice to all residents within 75-meter radius of the proposed development to give them an opportunity for input or voice concerns. Notices were sent out on May 20th, 2020. No concerns or objections were received from the neighborhood notices. As such, staff recommends that council approve the cannabis retail store for 112 Railway Avenue, subject to the following conditions. Building permits shall be required to ensure barrier-free standards are met, as well as emergency lighting, exit signs, and portable fire extinguishers at each exit. No occupancy or operation shall proceed until final inspection has been completed by the building official. No operation shall proceed until City of Weyburn business license is obtained and accompanied with written approval from SLGA that provincial permit is in the process of being finalized for this store. No drive-through services permitted. The owner shall comply with all federal and provincial acts and regulations regarding the sale of cannabis and cannabis accessories, and the owner shall comply with all security requirements as set out by the Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Authority.
Do I have a motion, please?
Oh, sorry, Your Worship, I was muted there. Hey, Your Worship, it's Councillor Chessel. I'll move that the discretionary use permit application from Brendan Pollock of 102-088-238 Saskatchewan Limited for the development of a retail cannabis outlet at 112 Railway Avenue, Lot 3, Block 49, Plan 79R03797 be approved subject to the conditions presented.
Your worship, this is Councilor Wheeler. I'll second that motion.
All right, do you have any questions, please?
I have a question, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Mr. Mickle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Amanda, that 112 address at Railway Avenue is in that little strip mall there?
Yeah, it is the strip mall, so the site that they're proposing is right east of the Freshie restaurant.
Okay, I understand that. Now, where do you think there's enough parking to have that in that store?
Because it's in the central business district and the floor area for their suite is less than 512 square meters, they are not required to have any parking.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Amanda, okay, go ahead. I was
Oh,
just going
sorry.
to, on this 112, I drove past there today. I thought, are you sure that, I thought that those were all, that like 112 is Freshie, next to it is 116 is that empty space. Aren't they numbered all the way down? The way, I just want to make sure that's right.
The building as a whole for the building department and taxation is 112 Railway Avenue. When they're condoed, they do get their own civic. So it may be that way from years ago. So when I refer to 112, it's the entire building. It will have its own suite address.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Mr. Richards, go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. Two things. One question, one comment. Amanda, to be clear, and thank you for your report. It's very good. To be clear, the licensing, as you mentioned, is the authority of the Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Authority, and the ongoing regulation, no different than a bar, is also the ongoing responsibility of SLGA, correct?
Correct. SLGA will perform inspections as this project progresses to ensure that the safe and the security measures are in compliance with their guidelines. They will also give them occupancy once they have met all those regulations, which may come after we do the permit. That's why SLGA has to give us written permission stating that they are in the progress of having a permit.
Great, thanks, Amanda. And just a comment, that's great news to see some more investment coming into the community and new shops opening up. So thank you.
Was there one last comment there, Amanda? Is this, just for clarity of the people that are watching, is this from a permit from the past lottery draw, or is this the new permits that they came out? Because just here in the last year, they said, first off, they were opening it wide open to allow as many people as wanted. Is this from the past lottery, or is this under the new provisions that they're coming out with? Do you know?
SLGA, yeah, Weyburn still only has 2 permits at the moment. SLGA has not removed the cap from municipalities at this time.
Just, they've removed it for the ones 2,500 and under though, they have, but not from those over 2,500 and under, correct?
I can't confirm that, I'm not sure. I just know that they haven't removed it from municipalities.
Yeah, for ours, I believe it's going to be in November. November, they're going to remove it from, is what I was told, or what I'd heard on the radio. So right now it's for 25 and under they can, but for our size of city, it's not until November. Okay, very well.
Your Worship?
Go ahead.
Councillor Bailey? Yeah. Councillor, Your Worship, if you remember back when we had this vote to allow it come into our city, because I think the government give us an option of saying yes or no to retail outlets in the city, and if council remembers, I voted no against that, and it was passed. And so I will be supporting this based on, it's a business here, and we've allowed it to come to our city. So I just wanted to make that clear from what I voted a year and a half or 2 years ago to today.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu, Councillor Van
Yes.
Betchu, okay. Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes, so passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is the ICIP grant application. Mr. Warren?
Thank you, Your Worship. Report provided to council in regards to the ICIP, which is the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. So the city has applied through a grant to stream that's through the community culture and recreation side of that grant for the Weyburn Recreation and Cultural Center. So right now, the province of Saskatchewan has done their first reviews, and they've notified us through their reviews that they moved the city on to the second step of the review process. So we require a resolution from council stating that city council agrees to meet legislative standards, to meet the terms and conditions of the ICIP program, conduct an open tendering process, to manage the construction of the project, to fund the municipal share, which is 1/3, to fund ongoing operation and maintenance costs, and to follow any mitigation measures as required by the Federal Impact Assessment Act and the Environmental Assessment Act in Saskatchewan. A little more background on this, the focus of this grant, because we have started the project, is on parts of the project that's outside of contract. So a good example would be the outdoor arena, which is away from outside the contract, the play and climb area that would be inside the facility, the golf simulators or the multi-sport simulators. So there's just some examples of some things that aren't within the contract that we currently have with right construction for the construction of the Weyburn Recreation and Cultural Center. So I'm just recommending to council that you provide the province of Saskatchewan with a required resolution for the ICIP grant for the Weyburn Recreation and Cultural Center project.
Do you have a motion, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is Councillor Van Betchu. I'd like to make a motion that it is resolved that the Weyburn City Council support the application for Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP grant, for the Weyburn Recreation and Cultural Center, and council agrees to meet legislated standards to meet the terms and conditions of the ICIP program, to conduct an open tendering process, to manage the construction of the project, to fund the municipal share of the project, to fund ongoing operation and maintenance costs, and to follow any mitigations measures as required by the Federal Impact Assessment Act and the Environmental Assessment Act, Saskatchewan.
This is Councillor Bailey. I will second that motion.
We have a discussion, please. Hearing none?
Just, Your Worship, sorry, Councillor Bailey here. Just a question for Matthew on this. Matthew, when it says that agrees to meet legislation standards, are we in compliance with that already?
Yes, we are for the project. Yeah, we made sure we went through those processes beforehand to prepare ourselves for these grant applications coming up for these projects.
So we're sitting in the driver's seat with this. There shouldn't be anything additional coming our way that's going to be a costly effect to us.
No, not based on how the grants are laid out. The ICIP grant, we actually just approved one, the same kind of motion for another project last meeting. It's designed to help municipalities to be able to use the funds and to gain the funds.
Thank you.
Okay, therefore, call the question. All those in favor, Councillor Bailey,
Yes.
Councillor Chessel,
Yes.
Councillor Van Betchu,
Yes.
Councillor Richards,
Yes.
Councillor Mickle,
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. Passed unanimously. Item 7, item 11 here, item 10C, which is Urban Highway Connector Program. City Manager Warren, will you please?
Thank you, Your Worship. So there's a report provided to council. We have expression of interest in the Urban Highway Connector Program through the province of Saskatchewan. So the biggest thing for this is that we have major highways going through our city, and the Urban Highway Connector Program is put in place to promote safe and efficient movement of people and goods through Saskatchewan cities. It also provides an open and consistent framework to support the municipal management of urban highway connectors. So there's 16 cities that are part of this program, and the way it works out as I go through the grant application is that the province of Saskatchewan has changed the process where there's applications for Regina and Saskatoon, and then the rest of the 14 cities are eligible for Urban Highway Connector funding from the province of Saskatchewan. So we had the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure request expression of interest from cities to identify priorities for each one of their cities within the Urban Highway Connector Program for improvements. So any funding under the Urban Highway Connector Program will be driven by the provincial budget process and compete with other priorities that are provided by other cities. So the city has identified the design and construction required on the bridge located on Highway 13 northeast within city limits as our priority for this program. The current condition of the bridge is poor. That was identified to us by the province of Saskatchewan, and it is included in, it will be included in our 2021 replacement plan. So right now, we actually, through the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure, they restricted the loads crossing this bridge to illegal loads only due to the current condition. So right now, we're just looking for a resolution to say that this is a priority that the city wants to look at as our priority for the 2021 Urban Highway Connector Program. So I am making a recommendation to council to provide a motion back to the province of Saskatchewan within its expression of interest.
Do you have a motion, please?
Yeah, Your Worship, this is Councillor Wheeler. I'd like to make a motion that council support the request of city administration to provide the government of Saskatchewan with an expression of interest for the Urban Highway Connector Program for the design and construction required of the bridge located on Highway 13 northeast in the city of Weyburn.
It's Councillor Richards. I'll second that.
Discussion?
Your Worship, I have a question to Matthew.
Sure.
Councillor Mickle, Matthew, I should have asked this on the previous item of discussion as well. Usually when you get grants, for example, the CAP funding we got for the airport, we got money, but we have to match it. In these particular agenda items, these last two, do we have to match any of these funds coming in?
Yes, Councillor Mickle, I'll just touch base on the one you guys approved beforehand. It's a third, so it's a third by the municipality, a third by the province, and a third by the federal government. For the Urban Highway Connector Program, they have not identified what the municipality has to match. They're actually asking for certain projects from us, and then they'll come back and ask for us a level that they'll require from us for funding for it. So there may be some that they fully fund, there may be some they partially fund. There's only a certain amount of money available through this program for the 14 cities. So I think it's around $3 million that's all they have for all the projects. So they prioritize those projects. So they do not identify to us what we can get for this, but they'll tell us as they go through the process what's available to us and what we may have to pay as a municipality.
Thank you, Matthew.
This is Councillor Van Betche. I just have a comment more than anything. I'd like to commend our city administration and the various departments for being diligent and seeking out these grants. There's no guarantee that we will get any money out of them, but you're certainly guaranteed if you don't apply for them that you won't get money for sure. I think a lot of them take a lot of work to put together and submit. So again, I commend our administration and the various departments for seeking these grants out and filling them out.
I agree. Very good. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Chessel?
Yes.
Councillor Van Betche?
Yes.
Councillor Richards?
Yes.
Councillor Mickle?
Yes.
Councilor Wheeler,
Yes.
Mayor Roy, yes. So passed unanimously. The next item, Airport Development Plan. Director of Engineering Wilkinson, if you would, please.
Yes, good evening. So we have recently developed the airport development plan. So it was created and reviewed by the City of Weyburn and the Weyburn Airport Board. The development plan is intended to be a blueprint for future development at the Weyburn Airport, which is managed and operated by the City of Weyburn. This plan gives a description of the most appropriate development options regarding land use, facilities, and services required to ensure the Weyburn Airport meets its strategic objectives and accommodates expected levels of traffic for present and future users. It builds upon the City of Weyburn Operations Manual and is guided by the efforts of the City of Weyburn. So through multiple views, the City of Weyburn and the Airport Board developed this plan, and it did get approved at the last Airport Board meeting on Friday, June 5th, 2020, and then it was also presented to the Weyburn Planning District Commission in the afternoon of Friday, June 5th, 2020. So this plan basically sets out a clear framework that can sustain and develop the airport to continue to provide essential services to the community and surrounding areas. So it's our recommendation that the Weyburn City Council adopt the Weyburn Airport Development Plan as developed by the City of Weyburn and the Weyburn Airport Board.
Do you have a motion?
With that, Your Worship, Councillor Bailey, I would move that the Weyburn Airport Development Plan developed by the City of Weyburn and the Weyburn Airport Board be adopted as presented.
This is Councillor Mickle, and I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Councillor Bailey here. Jennifer, in the economic development portion of our meeting, there was one typo error, I believe, that we discussed. Was that changed? And that was concerning the building permit, if I remember correctly.
I believe that was for the bylaw, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry, I believe that was in regards to our bylaw, not the development plan.
Okay, yes. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was corrected of who had, it was to be the RM for the development permit or whatever it was.
Yeah, so the development plan doesn't have that issue. It lists the RM, so it's the bylaw which will have to be corrected. So it doesn't affect this plan.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, very good. Okay.
Mr. Richards?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Winston.
well, I just wanted to comment that that Jennifer, you've done a lot of work on this, and I really think the bylaw basically cleans up the airport for how to go forward and make it exist functionally. For one thing, it also gives a clear plan to the people that oversee it, the Department of Transport, I guess it would be, that there's something in place here to keep our airport at a high level standard for what it is. So it's a good piece of work.
Mr. Richards?
Thanks, Your Worship. Couple things to the Director of Engineering. I would concur. I don't have anything to do with the Airport Board as far as that committee goes, but this was a big piece of work, so I appreciate your leadership through it. I just want to really be sure that I understand. I know that this did make its way across the Regional Planning Commission's table and was approved. Jennifer, did the Airport Board themselves they were involved in the creation of this? They've worked through it. They're comfortable with it, and they've approved it. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thanks for that. And my second comment is I hope we can get hashtag CJE3 working, because I oftentimes see YQR or YYC, so I would like us to say hashtag CJE3. Only a few will get that.
You're a pretty good trendsetter. I'll let you start that one.
Okay, I'll see what I'm starting.
That
Thank you, Jeff.
that YQ, what's a YQU? Is that Regina? That one might
YQ.
disappear because
Yeah.
there's just no, people were talking about that the major airports Saskatoon and Regina could be in trouble with all this whole landing, grounding of the planes. But yes, we at the Weyburn Airport Board worked with Jennifer. They developed it. Jennifer did the major amount of work on this, and Matthew did it on a major amount of work. Very good. And it does set us forward for the future of our airport out there.
Your Worship,
Go ahead.
Councillor, Your Worship, Councillor Bailey here. Just in question to Councillor Richards, this was 3 or 4 times at the table with the Airport Development Board to change things as basically what the users wanted to see out there, a lot of it, not only for the usage of the buildings, but just in some wording and stuff that a lot of the main users of the airport were happy with it. So it did have a lot of consideration. It wasn't done overnight. It took a long time.
Excellent. Thank you all for your hard work.
And just to let you know that our airport is fairly heavily used for a small airport. I think, what was it, Jennifer? It's something like 88 flights in each month, roughly 88 to 90 flights each month are landing at our airport. So we've got a lot, and that's not just local, that's out of city usage also. So it is used quite regularly.
And STARS is using that, Your Worship, quite regularly also. So that's why it's very important for our city to maintain this airport as well as we can.
Very good. You're correct, Mr. Bailey. Moving forward, call the question. Councillor Bailey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Chessel?
Yes.
Councillor Van Betju?
Yes.
Councillor Richards?
Yes.
Councillor Mickle?
Yes.
Councillor Wheeler?
Yes.
Mayor Roy? Yes. Passed unanimously. Inquiries and announcements. Council, anybody?
Your Worship, I have one, just to, I had a few phone calls on this. The taxation bills have been mailed out to the residential and commercial people, and to normal times, these are usually due at the end of July. Now, the city of Weyburn needs money, of course, everybody knows that they have to operate as well. But because of this COVID-19 epidemic we're involved in, they don't really have to pay these until the end of October, is that correct?
So this is Laura Massal here. We are not putting the interest on and penalties, so yes, if you look at it that way, the interest and penalties will not go on until November 1st, but we do encourage people to continue to pay.
Thanks, Laura.
Any other comments? Mr. Richards?
I think one of our youth counselors might be on looking for an opportunity.
Youth counselor?
Hi, I'm Fatma. Am I supposed to talk about the cleanup now?
Go ahead, Mr. Richards. Yes, go ahead.
All right. Hi, counselors. I'm Fatma. I'm with the Youth Council. Due to the mayor's cleanup being canceled this year, we have decided to put together a little cleanup. A lot of it will be done through Instagram. We have set up a hashtag. It's WYC cleanup. Anyone who wants to participate can post on their accounts and tag the Weyburn Youth Council account. And yeah, should I go in more detail about when it will be and all that stuff?
Yes, if you would, please.
Yes. So we're planning on it's going to happen from June 15th to 19th. I'm planning on going out on Wednesday, June 17th to clean up. Of course, all the safety precautions like social distancing and that will still be in place. We'll be encouraging everyone to, keep their distance, not have people outside of your family with you, use gloves, masks, closed-toed shoes, all that stuff. And yeah, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. But yeah, it'll happen from 15 to 19.
You're doing very well. Continue. Very well.
Okay. Yeah. So,
And what area are you going to be working in? The downtown area?
Okay, so people can clean around their neighborhoods, houses, along trails, all that stuff. You see, there's a lot of garbage, on the roadside and stuff like that, but it depends on each person where they want to clean up. Because everyone will be cleaning up as individuals, there won't be any gatherings and stuff like that. Yeah, everyone can do it by themselves, and wherever they can dispose of the garbage in their homes, or the what was it called? The the dustbins that are outside the houses, those black things.
Right. And the trash
Yes.
cans. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Comments, Mr. Richards, as you lead out the youth group?
I did, your worship, thanks for the opportunity. I really want to commend our youth council. They saw an opportunity. We had to, as you know, your worship, we had to cancel the mayor's cleanup because that traditionally is done downtown, a couple of blocks, and very, very intense with bodies. Youth council said, you know what, why don't we all just do our part and clean up the whole town? And I thought that was great. They've taken this from start to right now on their own. So, watch social media, listen to the local media, and you'll find out more and more. But basically, yeah, what they've done is said, look, clean up your own stuff. Let's do a good job and let's be proud of our community. And I'm awful proud to be working with those folks.
Very good. Any other
you.
comments? Go ahead, Fatima. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said thank you. I'm sure the rest of the youth council will appreciate the compliment. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Council, any other comments? Hearing none, we will have a notice of adjournment, and the media, if you will stay on for a minute, we'll be good to go. And I will move that this meeting be adjourned. Thank you.